His thick, stubby fingers tented. Apparently, she's tired of doing your job for you. She doesn't do my job for me. She works under me. His mind spun, scrambling to think of an excuse to explain away the obvious fact that he'd been fucking up his job along with everything else in his life. Not anymore. You're fired. I'm promoting Kayla into your role since she's already doing it, and doing it better than you ever did. You're a mess, Prescott, Stamler said with a sneer. It's a shame because you're one of the smartest guys here, but you drink too much. You're never here. And you've embarrassed this company one too many times. You're done. Sebastian felt as though the floor was dropping out from underneath him, his stomach in freefall mode. A week ago, he'd been kicked out of his apartment after a misunderstanding with his landlord. You run one tiny gambling ring and everyone freaks out. And now, he was unemployed. His life was unraveling before his eyes, and he knew it was entirely his own fault. His breathing became faster and shallower, panic swamping him. What was he going to do now? He was unemployed and homeless, crashing with his brother. It was terrifying enough to make him want to go do something stupid, something reckless and risky and thrilling so that just for a little while he could forget about the total clusterfuck his life had become. No. That was what had landed him here in the first place. He knew it and knew he needed to figure his shit out and get his act together if he didn't want to crash and burn to a point beyond salvaging. And yet all he could think about was drinking until he was numb, or taking what little money he had left and betting it all on something wild and crazy, or heading to his boxing gym that was really an underground fighting ring where he'd let someone pummel him until he couldn't think or feel anymore. Collect your things, said Stamler with a dismissive wave of his hand, as though Sebastian was no one, and not a guy who'd worked as a senior executive there for the past 6 years. I want you out of the building within the next 10 minutes. Pulling together the ragged scraps of his dignity, Sebastian stood and headed back to his office, where 2 security guards were waiting for him. Seriously? He snarled as he strode into his office, his anger becoming sharper and more explosive by the minute. I can walk myself out. I'm not going to steal a photocopier or something. Company policy, said one in a monotone voice. Jaw tight to the point of aching, Sebastian closed his eyes and blew out a breath. Then he retrieved a banker's box from one of the shelves, dumped the papers out of it and onto the floor and started cramming his personal effects into it. Less than 5 minutes later, he was practically being frog-marched down the hall, sandwiched between the 2 security guards, the box clutched in his hands. He kept his eyes down, refusing to look at all the people who'd come out of their offices to see him escorted off of the premises, until he saw her, Kayla, the woman who once upon a time he'd had a raging crush on, with her blonde curls and ample curves and mouth made for sin. She was smart and confident, and had never put up with his bullshit, and he'd always liked that about her. He'd never made a move because she was technically his subordinate, and he was a lot of things, but he wasn't a douche to women. Never. Especially not Kayla. And then she'd gotten him fired. She'd cost him his job, the only thing keeping him afloat in the quagmire of his life. He locked eyes with her, and she had the balls to wave at him, a little smirk on her face. "Good luck, Sebastian," she said in that breathy come-fuck-me voice of hers. It was a voice that had once filled his fantasies, but now would haunt him. "You're going to need it." 1. Present day. Kayla Bristowe shuffled her way through the snow and the slush on the sidewalk as she walked the few blocks from the subway.